Good afternoon, Alex Hook. Welcome on VH Berries.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I am extremely grateful because you bring a societal resonance in your interpretations that convey a feeling of felicity, and it implies being still, even if the images are forming a movement in front of the screen. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. What a poetic intro. Thank you.
Absolutely, Alex Hook. And in that specific moment where those movements are expected, we need to make some stops on the bicycle path to reinflate the tires and have a better chance to find the way home.
Good one.
I would love, Alex Hook, to discuss about that television series called The Way Home, because this is a wonder of art resulting to a third season coming very soon in January of 2025. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're exactly right. The third season is coming out in January, January 2nd, actually, very soon, just in a few weeks. And the story essentially, the storylines changed quite a bit since the first season, but it's essentially about this family of Landry women. There's 3 generations. There's Dell Landry, who's the oldest, her daughter, Kat Landry, and then her daughter, who's Alice Dewan. And the 3 of them move back to a farm where Alice essentially finds this magic pond and is able to travel back in time to see a life that kind of existed before she came along, call it. More specifically, she meets her mom at her age. So she meets her mom at 15, and I play her mom. So I'm the younger version of Kat Landry, who you see in modern day. I play her 15-year-old self. And Sadie, who's the actress who plays Alice, she's amazing. Her and I pretty much just become best friends, and she gets to learn much more about her mom at 15 and some of the struggles she went through, how she found love, maybe how she lost it. And there's just so many things that she went through with her mom that she can empathize with and kind of be there for her in the modern day as well, having gone through some of those big changes with her when she was younger. So it's kind of a really interesting storyline because there's so many different times happening at once. So viewers get a sneak peek into the 90s, they get a sneak peek into modern day, and then in the second season, we can see a little bit of the 1800s too. And then in the third season, we will venture once again into an entirely new timeline.
Absolutely, Alex Hook. We are going to venture in a new timeline, and you are playing a younger version of the journalist Catherine Landry, and it all starts with a hand held out underwater to Alice Dewan.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first time you see me is when I reach my hand into the pond and then basically fish out a human from the water. And of course, my reaction is, what on earth are you doing in this pond? Because no one in the right mind would go swimming in that dirty swamp. But yes, that is the introduction to my character.
It was Alex Hook, the introduction to your character. And as you just mentioned, you collaborated with Kyler Lee playing the older version of Kat. Can you tell us a little bit more about that creative process?
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting conversation I had with Kyler because I played Kat before a lot of the hardship came into play. So viewers will know that she loses her dad and her brother. So I am sort of a sneak peek into a life that Kat had when she had her brother, she had her dad, she had a family that was supportive, always together, kind of your dream family scenario. And so I think what Kyler and I wanted to do is really emphasize the contrast between life before versus life after. So the writing and the way we look does enough to convince people that we are the same person. I mean, we look so similar. It's crazy. So that kind of convinces people enough. We both agreed. And then it was just our ability to show that, okay, Kat before was full of life, youthful, happy, just so motivated, so driven. And then the Kat afterwards, having gone through what she did, just has that much more depth of experience. She's no longer as naive, and she's just a little bit more calloused, I want to say, with life.
Absolutely, Alex Hook. And as you just mentioned, you are looking very similar to Kyler Lee, exactly like 2 drops of water, because I believe that this is the primary element that plays a significant thematic element that is symbolizing both the setting and emotional undertone of the series.
Yeah, exactly. And so many of the cast look alike. They did so well. Even teen Elliot and the older Elliot too. Spitting image. Crazy.
Furthermore, Alex Hook, you also have a relationship with the family members of Kat. Can you tell us a little bit more about it, and particularly about your little brother Jacob?
He is awesome. So Remy Smith plays Jacob. And this boy, first of all, talented beyond his years and so mature and so professional. He comes on set and he's speaking to me like a 40-year-old man. He's just so much composure, so easy to work with. But at the same time, he's a kid, right? So he has so much fun on set. He always likes to poke and pry and, get under our skin just as any little brother would. But he's so sweet and so kind and just an amazing little brother to have had, because I'm sure it could have been so different. Kids, you never know what you're going to get. But he was amazing, and he just loved to be on set, which made everyone around him love to be on set too. It was just such a nice energy with him. And with the entire family too, like even with Jefferson, who played Colton, and Andy McDowell, who plays Dell, they were all just lovely.
They were just lovely, Alex Hook. And that character of the little brother named Jacob is saying a very powerful line, which is, did you know explorers use the stars to lead them home when they got lost? What is your personal meaning of that question?
That's a great question, because I remember when I first read the line, I didn't understand it. Like, if I'm being completely honest, I remember thinking, how does that make sense? What I think is cool about that line is that to Jacob, it's just taken at face value. Like, of course, explorers, when they're lost, they follow the stars. how else would they get home? You know, to a little kid, that makes sense. That's it. And then in the context of the whole show and what the show represents, which is if you ever feel lost, disconnected, if you feel that you're not the same as you once were, or you're just feeling a little bit different or odd, then you can always just resort back to what's constant in your life and your biggest support systems. So if that's your family, if that's your friends. And I think the stars are always going to be in the sky, the same way that you are always going to have your friends, you're always going to have your family, you're always going to have your people to fall back on. And so explorers, being us, if you ever get lost, if you ever feel disconnected or overwhelmed or stressed, just deep breath, go back to the basics, the black and white, look to the people around you, look to what's always worked, what's always been there for you. And in this case, it would be the stars. That's at least what it means to me.
Absolutely, Alex Hook, always coming back to the stars. And you were filming that television series called The Way Home while being in college. And I guess that you were eating at least an egg every day for the brain. Or maybe that you went to the egg, the electronic giga genetics labs.
Funny. Is that a play on Frankie? Is that what that's from?
Absolutely, Alex Hook. This is a direct reference to the egg, which is the acronym of the lab in which the character of Frankie Gaines was created.
Nice. That's a great segue. Yes. To answer both questions, I did do school while filming The Way Home. I ate tons of eggs, mostly because that's the easiest thing I could eat because I didn't have enough time to do anything else. So yeah, lots of eggs. And then yes, in I Am Frankie, I actually also did that during high school. So that was, my gosh, ages ago now, like 8 years ago, less. 6 years ago. But yeah, I was also doing school during that too.
Absolutely, Alex Hook. You were also doing school at the same time, and I would love to explore that project in which you were playing Frankie Gaines, or as I like to also call, Frankiepedia.
Yeah, Frankie was a blast. I mean, I could talk about it forever. What specifically, what would you like to know, or so I don't go on a tangent?
Absolutely, Alex Hook. I think I would love to hear you talking about it in a tangent, but we could begin with how everything started at the very beginning.
Okay, so put simply, I Am Frankie was my first major role. So I was the lead character in I Am Frankie. So that was my first time that I had to move away for filming for 3 consecutive months to get the whole season. And I was on set every single day, 12 hours a day, nonstop, Monday to Friday. So it was a lot of work. And you get used to it pretty quickly, I'd say. Like, you really have no other choice but to figure it out. But before that, I did just commercials and little spots in TV shows here and there. So that's what kind of got my foot in the door. I started when I was about 8 years old. And Victor, when you and I were talking before, I mentioned that I was just a young, yappy kid. And so I think TV loved me because I could just read my lines, and I'm like 3 feet tall and I get the lines and that's it. And so it was easy to just put me in front of a camera and say, okay, go. And then I'd speak a mile a minute and then they'd make a commercial out of it. So I did a lot of Family Channel YTV stuff. And then eventually I was able to actually, get some bigger roles and get some experience in movies and shows. And then I finally booked I Am Frankie on Nickelodeon. And then that was a little bit of a launching pad for some of the next stuff I did, like The Way Home, and then some of the things that are still coming up for me in the future.
That project was definitely a launching pad, and on one side we have Kat from The Way Home making a very strong entrance by saving someone's life out of the water, and on the other side we have your character in I Am Frankie simply saying hello.
Right? Yeah, two very different introductions. Arguably both just as exciting, because a simple hello coming from a real life robot is also a little bit wacky and wild. But yeah, both fun to shoot and both polar opposite.
Furthermore, those projects were at the complete opposite, Alex Hook. And there is a particular element connected to I Am Frankie, which is making a difference, which is a music called Getting Real by Jenny Lurie. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
I remember, so that was our theme song, and you only hear about 10 seconds of it in the actual show, but there's a full song. You're totally right. There's an entire full song front to back that was created, and we actually made a music video for it too, which is on YouTube. But I remember first hearing that song, the whole cast was together. I want to say it was during a lunch or something, and one of our producers just came in and said, "Hey guys, hope you're well. I want to show you something." And starts playing this song. And we're all just kind of sitting there and thinking, yeah, this is good. Wow, it's groovy, nice. And then you keep listening to the lyrics and you realize it's very applicable to the show that we're filming. And then we slowly put the pieces together and it all just clicked in us that this was going to be our theme song. And it was the most emotional, crazy, exciting, shocking moment for everyone. And because it made it seem so real, that pun intended, that things were literally getting real for us as actors.
It was getting real with that music, Alex Hook. And I am very curious about how you're perceiving that character named Frankie Gaines, because this is an android.
Yeah, she was someone that I connected with very quickly and very easily, because it's basically like playing a big baby, in the sense that she's so new to the world. And I mean that in the nicest way. She's so new to the world. She's never experienced anything before. Everything that she sees, smells, touches, interacts with is her first time. So I almost just force myself to go back to the basics of like, if I were doing this for the first time, what would that feel like? How would I react? What would that seem like for me? And so everything, and in every scene that we did, every time I spoke, everything I touched or discovered, I just made sure to really connect with it and take it personally, because it's brand new. And if I don't know how to do something, I don't know how to do something, because she doesn't have experience. All she has is her internet. So she was a very simple, beautiful mind to be able to tap into. Of course, being a robot was just fun because I can, change my voice. And as you can see, I'm a very fluid talker, but I had to, hands down, very simple, no facial expressions. So she was a blast, and she was just, I want to pinch her cheeks when I watch footage going back to when I was 15 years old. She's just so cute.
Absolutely. Alex Hook, she may experience everything for the first time, but she was already born with a lot of knowledge, especially concerning Will Gaines, knowing that He was born on February the 25th on 1980 in Massachusetts.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Despite having brand new experiences, she has so much technical knowledge. She looks at you and knows your name and your middle name and your last name. And so yes, she is not stupid by any means. She is insanely smart and knows more than most people will ever know in their entire life. So that was also an interesting balance I had to find. But yeah, she was quite the firecracker.
She is the firecracker with a lot of knowledge, which explain the Frankipedia name. And I am very curious about the evolution of the series in general between the first and second season, because I feel that we are going 5 feet deeper on season 2 with some themes of identity, belonging to the essence of humanity, but also relying to complex emotions.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I don't fully remember the storyline. Like I used to know it front to back. It's been so long that I don't fully remember it, but I do remember, you are right, Frankie becomes more human simply because she's evolved and she learns how to love, how to empathize, how to care for. She learns sadness, discomfort. So yeah, you can see a lot more of her in that way in the second season. And I know there's much more like battle and needing to rescue people and save people from Warpa and these bad characters that come in. And that's just what keeps those types of shows so exciting, because it's so far-fetched in a way. Like it's, that hopefully it doesn't happen in real life. But it makes filming it so fun. It's like you're just in your own video game, basically.
You are in your own video game. And on that television series, Alex Hook, in the poster, you are pushing the keys Control, Alt, Escape. But soon you will switch to Control N to open a new document for the television series Beta.
Nice. I like your transitions here. I'm always curious. I can tell that you're starting to transition and I'm like, ooh, where is he going? Yes, bet. Very exciting.
Bet is a very exciting upcoming project that is directly inspired and adapted from the Japanese manga thriller called Kakegurui. Can you tell us a little bit more about that project?
Yeah, so that one I filmed this summer. So you're exactly right. It's based on an existing manga and an existing anime that's on Netflix right now. So this is essentially the live action version with real people. So a lot of the storyline is based on the original stories from the manga. In addition, there's been new characters and new storylines and just as any live action creation would be. So my role is a new character that's not included in the original stories. So I can't say too much about that, but it was a blast. It's basically just working with a bunch of people your age with such different personalities, and we were all just puzzle pieces in this story. No one person was the same, whether it was how we looked, how we sounded, how we acted, our personalities, the way we read the scripts. Like, it was just such an awesome environment to be in because everyone was so unique and brought something so different to the story. And of course, the story itself is just so cool. Who wouldn't want to do a live action anime?
Absolutely, Alex Hook. Everyone would love to do an anime adaptation. And that title, which is Bet, could summarize your journey because from the very beginning, you started theater as a sort of bet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hey, when you start, you never know what's gonna come of it. Again, I started in theater, realized I loved acting, decided I didn't really like being on stage. But here we are, and this is what it turned into like 20 years later. Oh my gosh. So yeah, you never know what's gonna come of it. And that's kind of the beauty of trying new things, because who knows? You might hate it. Then you're back to where you started, but you also might love it.
This is the beauty of starting new things, Alex Hook. And if I understood correctly, your parents placed you in every type of activity under the sun, knowing that the sun will run out of hydrogen in about 2 or 3 billion years.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, my parents put me in everything because they were of the mindset too that how are we going to know what she's good at or what she likes if we don't, experiment and give her the opportunity to try it. So I was extremely fortunate, in that sense, because, just to be able to be given those opportunities, I am forever grateful for. But that's what allowed me to figure out that I like acting. Also huge into sports. That was a big part of my life growing up. So I tried tons of stuff.
You tried different venues, and you also just mentioned that you distanced yourself from theater because you didn't enjoy the stage. How can you explain that particular decision?
Yeah, I loved the acting. That was a no-brainer. That was an easy yes for me. I loved doing the work into getting to know a character and unlocking a side of me that maybe I'd never seen before. Like, that was just so fascinating to me. So the acting, 100%. The theater specifically, I'm open to going back to it. I'm not a great dancer or singer, so I don't know who would be open to having me. But the reason I left at the beginning is because I wanted to try a style of acting that was more grounded and centered and very here kind of thing. That I'm speaking to someone. I am getting through a problem with someone one-on-one. I just find TV film acting is so much more, it's smaller in that sense, where it's like your entire world is right here with someone else. And that is just so beautiful because I feel that I'm having real conversations and making real impacts on people, and also getting impacted and affected myself. Whereas I felt I didn't have the same connections on a stage. It just seemed slightly different. It's just more like performative. Hey, a lot of people are going to say that they have those types of connections on stage, and I believe it. I was like 8 years old, so maybe I just was too young to really notice it. But I just found my greatest moments in terms of like performance and feeling touched have been in TV and film.
Absolutely, Alex Hook. And instead of theater, you decided to invest more time in the sports to be able to lift Mr. Kingston in the air.
I know. You don't know how many shoulder presses I had to do to warm up for that guy. Yep, pretty strong.
Absolutely, Alex Hook. I was making a direct connection with the moment in I Am Frankie in which you're completely lifting that character in the air.
Yep. Yes. He was wired. I mean, surprise, surprise, I didn't lift him myself. He was on these wires and they were connected to him via harness. So everything was safe and I wasn't going to get crushed underneath him, but that was a cool shoot too.
In conclusion, I am looking forward to see your upcoming interpretations that have always been on HD, an acronym that could mean high definition, or as your debut project, Handsome Devils. Thank you very much, Alex Hook.
Thank you so much, Victor. This was lovely. Thank you.